I will now pass you over to Mario, the chair of FCSI APD.
Thank you, Seb, and a very, very warm welcome to all our APD members. Geez, we've got people from Sydney to Singapore, all on different timelines. Over here in sunny Perth, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 4 o'clock for my friends over east. And interestingly enough, to our friends in Singapore and Hong Kong, they're on the same timeline as us at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we haven't hit beer o'clock as yet in Perth. It is beer o'clock officially now in Melbourne and Sydney. So welcome to FCSI members. Now, I also want to a special, very warm welcome to all those from other parts of the world who have logged in from really unearthly hours. I've got Nick Vaccaro in Louisville, Kentucky at 12 midnight. He's logged in. And I've got Remco, who's woken up at 6 in the morning in the Netherlands. Oh, well, he's probably set his alarm for 5 o'clock, and he's on the line now at 6 in the morning in the Netherlands. And a very special warm welcome to my very good friend and our chair, Bill Caruso in Denver, Colorado. Welcome, Bill.
Pleasure to be with you all.
Commiserations. I know the leader that you were tipping for the top job in the US may not make it now. They're cheating, he says. They're cheating on him. So anyway, good luck in whatever way, how the pennies fall over there. And good luck, bad luck, as they say. You don't know what may happen. Time will tell. Time will tell. Anyway, well, back to sunny Perth. As I said, we've been really blessed over here in this state. We've had the least COVID impact, I think, globally. And business has been good, and so we can't complain. I suppose I must say that through the FCSI family, and thanks to the FCSI family, you know, we've been able to collaborate with members all around Australia, Asia Pacific, globally, and you know, we keep the connection. So we might have not had our trade shows and pressing the flesh, but thanks to Zoom, we've been able to keep in touch. And this is our very first FCSI webinar that you're having with people all around the world. So thank you guys for joining. Now, without further ado, I'd like to invite my co-host. You know, no board can be complete without some really good, strong, active members. And we've anointed our, part of our succession plan, we've anointed our chair for the future. He doesn't know yet. I'm going to tell him now. It's Andrew Brain. And he's my co-host this afternoon, and I'll let Andrew say a few words. Thank you.
Yeah, look, this is obviously the first of a series of webinars that we're planning. At the moment, without the ability to travel interstate to trade shows, and so this seems to be the best next option. It also does give us the opportunity to catch up with everybody in the States and the Asia Pacific region, where we probably wouldn't be able to do so as easily as this. Easily, I say, because it is only 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Melbourne. But I'm really excited. We've got a lot of things planned for next year, and if we can't do anything face to face, then I think this is going to be hopefully inspirational. I hope we actually provide the members and our other partners with something that is going to be valuable. So I really appreciate everybody who has signed in, and feel free to ask questions. Put your hand up, like Mario said. We've got the text running on the side. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. And now some of you would have heard this amazing professional human being, I call him. You know, he's got a pulse. He's got a pulse, and it beats well. And I'm talking about our host that our guest host that we've invited today. And you know, all of us are in the industry. We're all consultants, allied members, always looking at specifications and technical stuff. And I think COVID has taught us a very important lesson about life and our businesses. You know, that there's more to it than just the technical stuff. It's the human stuff that has come to the fore during this time. And so we have, and Andrew actually recommended Glenn, and I'm very happy with the choice that Glenn Flood as our guest host today. And I like his mantra that, you know, we finish this webinar, and when we finish this webinar, each of us can take away something that we can put to practice in our day-to-day lives and in our businesses, and we better individuals, and we can serve our clients better and make our society stronger and move forward. So over to my good friend, Glenn Flatt. Take it away, man.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Mario. And yeah, again, thanks to everyone for taking the time to dial in. So, you know, I know as a member of many different organizations that your time is valuable and you want to get together and share and support each other. And that's the nature of what we're talking about today, going through. And I've been fortunate to connect with Andrew and Mario and have some good conversations, understanding more about FCSI and throwing around some ideas that hopefully will provide some value to you and this time that you're spending with us today. So this is really about the collective intelligence in the room, and I'm like the junior in the room because I'm not a designer. I'm not an expert in, you know, consulting realms, but I am a chef. I do speak the language of hospitality. I'm fortunate in my role that I'm in front of hundreds of different hospitality operators every year. And, you know, through my perspective, I just want to share with you some stories and some different ideas that might unlock some thoughts for you over the next hour, so that you can go away from this and think, there's something else to consider, and how do you make that better for you personally, or for your business, or for your clients. It's just really a holistic conversation. As Seb introduced for us earlier, it is an interactive session. So if you haven't got your chat room up on the side, just bring that chat up there, and you're welcome to sort of converse as we go along. If there's a valid point to add in, please do. But we've got a pretty fast and furious next, well, about 50 minutes or so to roll through. So let's get us up and moving. You know, quarantine, isolation, COVID. I mean, it's a really interesting time in this beautiful planet. You know, what's happening for us now? You know, I don't know about you, but this sort of quarantine's been a bit like Groundhog Day. And up there, I've got one of my favorite comedians, Bill Murray, in his movie Groundhog Day. It's the same thing happening again and again. Now, sometimes I'm losing track of what day it is because everything's been virtual and I haven't had the usual rhythm. But there's been opportunity in that as well to look at what is the new rhythm and how it's going to roll forward. So what we're going to do now is we're going to break into a couple of small rooms. We're going to have a bit of a conversation with a couple of groups, and got a really great question for you to share. What is one thing you've learned about yourself during lockdown? Positive, negative, indifferent, it doesn't really matter. You may have learned that you're very, very comfortable wearing tracksuit pants and having a suit jacket on. That's perfectly acceptable as well. You may have found that you've taken up the violin because you've always wanted to and you found time. So it's just about a little bit of a chat, a little bit of a banter. And Seb's going to organise us into 3 rooms. We're going to chat for about 3 or 4 minutes. Everyone's going to contribute, you know, at least one thing, and then we'll come back to the room and share it collectively. Okay, great. Well organised, Seb. Thanks for that. So some really good conversations going our end with the team that I had there, Bill and Remco and Nick. We were conversing through many things. So what I might do is I might just sort of do a quick recap on a few of the things that we'd missed. That we'd missed, or things that we'd learned. So there was a discovery of comfort in a rhythm. So, you know, just understanding that, you know, you might be a creature of habit, or take comfort in just having a nice little static rhythm going along, more so than you thought. There was also a conversation around really missing the connection, the actual human connection. So the ability to go out and have a chat with someone, or just connect that one-on-one and converse, especially if you're a people person. And I shared, for me, I'm a big hugger. So to not be able to see friends and family and give them a hug, for me is challenging. Absolutely. Nick had mentioned around travel. He said, look, I always thought travel was a burden and a little bit of a pain, but what I realized now in not being able to access the travel is how much I miss the new experiences that travel brings. So I thought it was some really good reflections out of our group there. And we'd also acknowledge that we're all in a different different pathway or a different time of this journey, because whilst in Melbourne, we've gone through this lockdown, but, you know, in terms of COVID numbers, we're really kicking some goals right now. And other countries aren't so fortunate, going back into different lockdowns and what's happening in the States. So it's uncertain, absolutely, for sure. And even more important for us to keep connected with each other and support each other, you know, during this next 12, 18, 24 months, whatever it may be. So that's what we heard from it. Andrew, what about your crew? What did you guys talk about?
Ours was very interesting. We had Leonard, Brad, Greg, and Brian, and Leonard shared that he, you know, generally he thought he was more of a introvert. He'd like to be by himself, but then realized when he was missing that connection with his customers, his work colleagues, and all those sorts of things. And where it might have initially been something that appeared quite easy or simple, wasn't in the end, and took a bit of adapting to. Greg, being years and years on the road and marketing and representing the Moffat company, realized, okay, I've got to get tech savvy and work from home. Brad was actually sharing too that, you know, that with a business like Williams, they were deemed still a viable and valuable business, being refrigeration, but unable to necessarily predict. You know, there's no way to predict sales or volumes of manufacture or any of those capacities. So quite complicated in one sense. Yeah.
That uncertainty and inability to forecast when for so long you probably look at like for like, year on year tenders and how it's all flowing. Now everything's just kind of flipped on its head. Very good. Thanks, Andrew. And Mario, what about yourself? What did you talk about in the room?
I'm going to tell you who was in our room, but I'm not going to tell you who said what, okay? So that shall remain anonymous. But yeah, so we had Otto in Melbourne, Joe in Idaho, Blair and myself here in Perth, and Julian in Melbourne. So very, very interesting. Ours was not the serious stuff like you guys, man. Ours was real human stuff. So ours was, one of the guys says he hates wearing pants now. He just right.
It's optional. Beautiful.
It's optional. The other one says that he's finally decided he can now live with his wife. Another one says that he hates being with his boys at home. Now he hates his boys. No names. And another perler was the thing about just you know, missing the interaction, which I think others have shared as well. You know, just missing the interaction, including you know, Blair was one of in our office here. Even though it was a short period, she decided that she would be the come into work and answer the phones as only one person allowed. But you know, she would come in there and you'd miss the colleagues in the office. It was a short period, but still. You know, it's when you take people for granted and you think for granted, and that's what happens. And of course, there was another one, I won't take any names, that he was saying, sitting at home, and you'll guess who it was, but he says, now sitting at home, at least he can get productive. He doesn't get asked 20 questions an hour on what to do and how to do. People also are thinking for themselves now in the office. They're not tapping on the shoulder and asking him too many questions. So that was it. It was very interesting.
So you can see, and thanks for summarizing that for us, Mario, Andrew, is that same event, COVID, it's the same thing, but it's impacting us all differently. We're all drawing different perspectives from it. All right. And this is the great thing about a membership and an organization and a society, is that we come together with our combined collective intelligence and think about different perspectives and how we bounce and learn from each other. Right. And the best lessons aren't always the good ones, right? It's not always, you know, unicorns and rainbows and sunshine. It's sometimes from the darkness and from the really deep, you know, hard moments that we as individuals find our resilience, find our resolve and our persistence, and look at how we're going to forge through this. So, you know, just be mindful that with everyone that you're interacting with on a daily basis, whether it be friends and family at home, clients online, or clubs such as this, you know, getting together, is that we've all got different things happening in the background, right? But that connection keeps us human. keeps us sane, and that supportive nature is really good. Sometimes just asking the right question at the right time on how are you feeling today, and then really listening is important. And Andrew, I can neither confirm nor deny that there's pants happening here. I've got a jacket on. That's all you need to be aware of. All right. Very good. We're going to hear from some of our members, because at the end of the day, it is really about you. And we've got a cracking array of global experts. I'm really excited here because I haven't met these individuals before. Some of you might know a little bit, but we're just going to go a little bit deeper. Mario is going to introduce our esteemed panel, and we're really excited to have you contribute here today. And then I've just got a question to ask each of them so we can hear a little bit more in a bit more detail about what's happening for them at the moment in their businesses and their perspectives. So Mario, if you want to please introduce our panel.
Very good. So as you said, yes, we've been very fortunate, and thank you to each one of them. I'll start as in the order that's over there. We've got Leonard Lamb, the very affable and approachable Leonard, who's he's got a big title there, but I tell you what, he's a good guy to know. Always very helpful. Has spent many years, in marketing. He's got over 18 years of experience in varied roles in management, finance, manufacturing, and marketing, of course. And then I actually chose him, approached him intentionally because he represents Well-Built, and the two big powerhouses of cooking equipment in Australia are Comcator and Moffat. And so his Well-Built supplies both of the, to both of them. So it's good. We're friends at all the camps now, and that's how we. So Leonard, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We've got Joe Shimaka, who is, as I said, in the US, in Idaho. He has graduated with honors in the California Culinary Academy in San Francisco. He started off his career as a chef, and then now in the last 10 years, so the last decade, he has gone into consulting. He has he's been contributing to FCSI with Andrew on our BIM standards committee and looking at Revit, and we appreciate Joe's contribution there. And I just thought, with all that's happening in the US, and to get a nice balanced approach, hopefully he'll share some of his thoughts and also tell us what's happening in his part of the world. And then, of course, my good friend Remco in the Netherlands, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure what's in his coffee this morning to get him up and about. But thank you, Remco, for joining us. Remco is the chair of FCSI of the EME division, and he's been that since the last 3 years. He is a strategic management consultant. And I have seen him network when I've been to Europe and seen him interacting with his clients, and he really has an excellent approach, very approachable with his clients and with the peers. And it's been a pleasure working with and knowing Remco on the worldwide board, and also as part of our FCSI global family, basically. Now, Ian Hopper. Ian, are you online? Is Ian online?
We don't think so, Mario.
Okay. Ian's based in Brisbane, and he has a fair bit of experience not only in Australia. Well, he's based in Brisbane. He actually does a lot of work in the Middle East and Africa, and he's also been a past worldwide president of FCSI. And I just thought it would be good to get him online, and he said he would join us. So maybe he may join us later, or he is on a different timeline, dealing with somebody in the Middle East, possibly.
It's possible. It's possible.
That's possible.
In this virtual world, I don't know about you, gentlemen, but my day goes sideways very quickly between my 2 mobile phones and 3 screens going on. It's exciting. You don't get the chance, though, to walk or drive from meeting to meeting anymore. It's one finishes, and then you've got 30 seconds reset and on to the next. So it's certainly discipline required on my behalf to balance that in and around, probably for all of us. Thanks for the intro there, Mario, talking about some of our gurus here. So question, and this is, I mean, again, for the chat room, we're a small group, so we can definitely converse. If there's something relevant, please just drop that question in and allow me to be your voice if you have a question for our experts. But Remco, we might start off with you if it's okay. Can you just tell us in your own words, how is the market shifting at the moment? You know, what are your client expectations and how are they changing? Thanks, Remco.
Okay, thank you for introducing me, Mario. And as you know, the division I am responsible for from FCSI APD, it goes from the Nordics, from Finland, Norway to the south of Spain, to north of Africa, to Berlin. You know, it's a very big area with a lot of big cultures. It's not like we are Europe, Africa, Middle East. Well, as I watch to my own business, which is the most easiest thing now to do, perhaps, and I can also confirm that I've been speaking with the EME board yesterday, and they did a kind of update for their countries. The situation is actually bad. It's as simple as that. Either if you are a design consultant, a management consultant, a corporate company, since March, since the COVID has really done his entree in this area, businesses has gone down with 20, 30, 40, 50%, and you know, a lot of our consultants in the EME area are in healthcare, are working in hospitals, in restaurants. Jobs suddenly at one point. Yeah, they simply quit. For example, in my team, in my company, we are with nine consultants, constantly busy in the world of food and hospitality in healthcare, and you know, 3-4 people did not have any work at a certain moment, which is at the end of the day very worse, because we are now in a reorganization and trying to keep the people, but it's not, we cannot hold it anymore because the costs are raising more than the profit that we can make. So I'm really optimistic usually, and I still am, but this period has been very bad. And as you said, and asking your first question, what was the impact of what did you learn about yourself? I think a lot of people in our area have learned about themselves and how to deal with this situation, being constantly at home, having kids at home, being a teacher, being a husband, being a management consultant, being a director. So the impact is big on the business for the whole group of FCSI members, consultants. And that's what we speak about now, I think. So on the other hand, we see a lot of opening of new chances, like we are doing this morning, being at 6 a.m. in the morning, watching at the screen with people around the world, has made an enormous progression. I think we moved forward 10 years or something, because in the Netherlands, you know, my country is very small on the map in Europe. We did not do any visual meetings like Zoom or Teams, or because our country is so small. We every time we have something to discuss, we do that or by phone, or we meet each other. We drive 1 hour, 2 hours, and so that's the impact, and it causes a lot of efficiency. You've got some time to do your running during the day because you don't have to travel. That's the nice thing, but on the end of the day, a lot of people are hoping to get their real life back, and but we don't know when or if our life comes back as it used to be. So
yeah.
Something I wanted to hear, or
yeah, and thanks for sharing that and your honesty there, Remco. You know, it's not all looking hazy out there at all, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets, the financial markets, the political markets, the health a lot of uncertainty around. You mentioned there as well that you're keeping yourself optimistic, looking forward. And is there something in particular you've found that is allowing you to stay optimistic? Because I know when you're in front of clients as well, and in particular family, you can't be standing there saying it's all doom and gloom. So, you know, what techniques are you using?
Well, one of my jobs is to be a trainer, and I use the fish philosophy. I don't know if you have ever heard of it. It comes from Seattle. Let me just catch. This is my. This is Pike the Perch, and, and Pike the Perch is a kind of it's a trainings program from Seattle, the other side of the world, and it's about choosing your attitude in the morning when you stand up. It's about make them happy. That's your family, your customers, everyone who's around you. Is those topics, you know, you bring them to your work, and that's what I'll do every day in the morning when I get up, and that's also what I do with my team and with my family around me, and you know, and yeah, it's perhaps it sounds a little bit strange, but going outside and see what the nature brings you, and I usually run two times a week at least, but I actually did that to clear my mind. You know, always 50 hours, 60 hours, 40 hours, doesn't matter how much I work, but it was to express myself. And now I'm walking with my new dog, who's a puppy, and I'm walking around. I'm seeing more. So, you know, and it brings lots of new opportunities. But business-wise, yeah, it's a very hard, tough time, because even my job, you know, my own job, is getting under pressure. So, and I have to manage my team. But yeah, you know, not being optimistic is, yeah, it's the worst you can do. But
yeah, Remco. Sounds like you've invested some time in your mindset, and I love that. I love Pike the Perch. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. So thank you very much for sharing your perspective there, Remco. You know, yeah, some really good little takeaways. Even just as I was listening, I'm thinking about it. I work for myself too, so I know how that works, and the importance of just staying positive and focused on small things, just to get us through this period of uncertainty. Absolutely. Yeah. Might turn across to Leonard, if it's all right. So Leonard, you're based in the Asia Pacific region, is that right?
Yeah, yep. That's right. Yeah.
Very good. Love to see, are you seeing any trends emerge? Because I'm thinking from an Asian, and I know it's a you know, sort of it's a very broad area, but it's kind of sort of the nucleus for when things were rolling out around COVID. And so they perhaps maybe had a little bit more insight, or maybe runs on the ground, or I don't know, you know, just been in it a little bit longer. Are you seeing any trends rolling from that?
Yeah. Thanks, Glenn, for the question, and thanks, Mario, and everybody for inviting me. You know, my region is Asia Pacific, so anywhere from China to India and down south to Australia, and obviously China was the first impacted way back in January, and our facilities was very impacted. We got a big part of our business in China, and it was tough. So during the Chinese New Year period, February, that was a little bit dicey for us, because new virus, we weren't sure what was going to happen. But obviously business, you know, took a downturn, especially when the lockdown happened. So the Chinese lockdown wasn't that long compared to what we have experienced in the rest of the world. The Chinese lockdown was like a month, about 6 weeks probably, but it was a real lockdown, right? They did it very rigidly. And there were consequences after that. We saw a lot of F&B businesses go out of business. We know that from data, it's about 25% of businesses of F&B, they say will not come back. So that's quite scary. For just a month lockdown, that they expect a quarter of businesses to not recover, was quite a scary number. Obviously, we know F&B business is cash flow intensive, right? You know, without cash flow, business will just dry up very quickly in our business. So that trend was worrying when we saw China, and we started seeing the rest of the regions also get affected. I live in Singapore. We are quite fortunate. Our cases are almost down to zero. People are going back to eat. But talking to our customers, they had to find new revenue streams. I think that was the first thing that they had to figure out. With the lockdowns, limited seating, people couldn't dine in. I think it was trying to find alternative revenue streams, which was on top of everybody's mind, and to conserve cash. Was probably top of their minds, and being from an equipment supplier, capex was probably something last on their minds to invest in something big. So they had to think of something else. Obviously, as I think most people know, off-premises options became top on people's minds, right? If I can't dine in, then I have to figure out how do I meet the demand of off-premises options, and obviously takeaway and delivery came on board. But a lot of people told us, actually, we are not catered, we're not suited. No, we don't have the ability to do it well. Someone doing dine-in may not be someone that can actually do takeaways well and deliver the quality that they need. So even though the trend was going on delivery and takeaways, they couldn't do it, and they didn't know how to do it. And so we have been helping a lot of people and listening to a lot of people, and we call it trying to break that 30-minute barrier. How can I get an order and actually deliver to the customer within 30 minutes? Sounds daunting, but that's what customers want, right? If I place an order, can I get quality hot piping food, in my home in 30 minutes? So that's one of the trends we have seen, and people and customers have been asking us to help. The other one is also, yes, takeaway, but what is the data? What have we seen? So I think the US has probably has the most data. So obviously, no doubt that takeaways have risen since pre-COVID and now, and it's risen about 15 to 20%. Off-premises options have increased, but surprisingly, is the demographics of the people who are doing that. And this surprised me. My US colleagues have been doing a lot of research. It's actually the baby boomers, those from 56 to those above 55, that has contributed to most of the growth. So simple statistics, pre-COVID, about 40% of baby boomers will have done off-premise options. Now it's past 60%. So they are the older generation are trying out takeaway deliveries through apps and all that. So maybe many options have to change to cater to that segment of the population, and whether they are well versed in apps, right? So most of us have used the apps. Is it simple for them to use and all that? So so a lot of operators are also have to rethink about how they access that market, which previously wasn't there. So that's been some of the trends we have seen. Obviously, the usual one, the sanitation, has been something that's big. People have been coming out, safe distancing. Can I do delivery without really being in contact with the pickup guy? So that's been as well. And coming back to the cash flow, how do I conserve cash? Our data tell us that a lot of operators have actually subtly increased prices. Even though demand is down, they have subtly increased prices. I think that the US data is telling us 1.5 to 2% in price increases for food. And obviously conserving cash in other ways, supply chain, negotiating with the delivery providers. Those delivery providers typically, I'm not sure, in my part of the world, is 25 to 30% range, right? So that's a cost that previously they didn't have. So they're renegotiating that. So those are some of the trends that we have seen in my region.
Oh, amazing, Leonard, and thanks for sharing that. I'm just gonna, I really loved what you talked about there, the age demographic of ordering for home. I was running an office building. We had 40 staff, and my finance department were quite young, 18, 19, 20 years old. They would order Uber, Menulog, Deliveroo every day of the week, every single day. And they'd order, dumplings from the place that was about 100 meters down the road. And I said, why would you do this? They said, Glenn, because I can order it on my app. I don't start my lunch break till it turns up. And so therefore I don't have to waste time going out. And to hear that flip back around now, and I'm guessing from a 55-year-old in that demographic is more maybe around risk. There's definite convenience, but now it's sort of like I can have that beautiful meal delivered to me, and I'd never really had to worry before because I'd always met someone or gone there. But they can still have an experience, which is really cool.
Right. In fact, to your point, Glenn, the millennials, the 24 to 40, the percentage is the same. So, it was like 75% pre-COVID and about 75, 76% now. So not much change. So they have been used to it. So it's the Gen X and the baby boomers that are seeing that increase.
Interesting. Thank you very much for sharing that there, Leonard. Great, and glad to hear all is going well in Singapore. I've got some dear friends over there as well, and I think you guys are doing quite well, all in all.
Thanks.
Joe, and thanks for sharing that link to Fish Philosophy, Joe. I saw you nodding when Remco was talking about it, and I was like, I've kind of heard of it, but not really dialed in. I'm going to jump on that link tonight and have a little bit. I'm going to geek out on how it all works because I'm fascinated as a trainer, always looking for more tools to take on board. Joe, in the US, and it's drop an election in, drop in insane cases every day. It's the whole thing's up in the air. How's that impacting you, and how are you staying in front of your competition?
Well, how it's impacting us is probably similar to everybody else. I mean, I had to lay somebody off last week, which is just, it's gut wrenching, right? It's the hardest part of it. Although the first person that I laid off, so I've laid off 2 since all of this began. The first guy, he got really lucky because he went and worked for a startup that went IPO, for the largest IPO in the US this year. So anyway, he's rich and totally okay that I laid him off. So anyway, in terms of the question about how I'm staying ahead, a couple of things, and I don't know, am I able to share my screen? No, yeah, it's disabled. I was going to show you a couple of ways that I've differentiated, and one of them is really by embracing the technology of the software. So, we talk about Revit, and as was mentioned, I'm involved in kind of recreating the Revit standards, which we're working on. It's coming. It's coming, I promise. But besides that, internally within my business, we've taken this to the next level, which is full virtual reality for every single one of our projects. So, although we aren't great at it yet, we're getting better every day. And so I think this is a real differentiator. So here's some renderings from a few of my projects. And what's really cool now is we can actually create an executable visualizer that allows us to fly through a kitchen. And once we get back into the customer's purview, we can actually have them put on the virtual reality goggles, and they actually see everything in real time. They have a little controller, they can walk around the space, so to speak. And we're actually starting to play with augmented reality a little bit as well, which will allow somebody in a vacant building, they can actually put the goggles on and walk around. Right now, for the normal VR, you have to actually sit in a chair. But although this isn't, it is all to scale. What's really cool about this, and the software that we're using is actually called Enscape, E-N-S-C-A-P-E. So if anybody is using Revit and interested in VR virtualizers, this is a native app that plugs into Revit and actually does the VR for you. So I'm going to use this to kind of lead into the next thing of how we're differentiating, which is who cares if nobody knows that we're doing this? And so what we've done is we've actually created a membership with here in the US, it's called the AIA, it's American Institute of Architects. I would imagine around the world, a lot of you guys work with architects pretty closely, and a lot of times you work for the architects, right? And so what we've done is essentially created partnerships with the AIA in different regions of the country, and we've started to do lunch and learns and talk about food from a design perspective, right? So designing for the human interaction of food pre and post COVID, but also just in general, like what's changing, trends. It does cost a lot of money for us to get the certification, but we can actually create a CEU course, like a lunch and learn, and we can deliver those virtually all around the country. And so we've been working on that. And I think at the end of the day, although the architects tend to be who hires us, differentiation comes from a lot of different places. And one of them is, in our case, we're showing them the technology that we're using and kind of talking about food first and the human experience first. And I think that has set us apart quite a bit. So.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Awesome, Joe. I loved, what you said there about the lunch and learn. To me, it sounds like a real nice connection piece. Talking about food first and how is that going to lead the design conversation? Because I guess it's easy for an architect to just, their discipline is X. That's what I'm looking for. You say as a chef, foods first. You speak to a general manager, they might just say, look, it's all about the front of house and that flow. Speak to an accountant, well, it's all about the spreadsheet. But collectively, those conversations need to be had. And think about what I love about the food connection. It's very emotive, right? When we're going out for something to eat, what do you ask? What do you feel like for dinner, for lunch? What do you feel like? It's a very emotive question, right? And even as an individual going to the shops, you're thinking, what am I hungry for? What's my feeling? Oh, I don't feel like that, but I feel like Italian, but I don't feel like a pizza, but maybe a pasta. So this whole emotional conversation goes on. It's very different than saying, I need toilet paper, right? That's, you don't have to decide, just go in, that's it, great. So this emotive side of it, and how do you bring that? It sounds like you're doing it really successfully, and with your lunch and learn, just start the conversation, get us emotionally connected to the end result. And then we're having, I believe, a more powerful conversation around the customer connection and what are those little touch points that we go with along the way. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for sharing a few of those screens. I like the 3D stroll through there. I thought that was pretty cool. Everyone think that was okay? A little nod of the head. I can see Andrew's nodding away. Yeah, there's lots of nods going on. Awesome. Loving it. So if it's okay, I'm conscious that we're just right on. We're about 5 o'clock now. I was just going to talk a couple of things from my perspective, but we'll collectively, Mario and Andrew and I are very open to this. I can add or not add. So if you've got to go, then that's absolutely okay. And we apologize that we ran over time, but I think the conversation's been really valuable. If you're okay for another 7 or 8 minutes, I can just, chat on a couple of things and Mario will close off.
Go for it.
Okay, so I think from my point of view, and I was just going to share another perspective, right, from a chef perspective, thoughts on the customer journey and what it could look like in the hospitality in this sort of post-COVID era. This is through me talking with hundreds of businesses, business owners, chefs over this period, some that are completely locked out, couldn't work, business owners dropping 80% in sales, thinking, I don't know how I'm going to go forward, but my delivery is kind of okay. And I think Leonard added something really interesting there about the discipline of delivery versus in-house. It's a different skill set, and not all food is designed to travel. So, I think in hospitality, it always comes back to the customer journey. All right. So what will the customers be thinking? What will they be expecting? What emotions will be running through their minds in order for them to create a memorable experience? So 2020, it's been bizarre and interesting and just crazy on so many levels. And we're not quite there yet. 2021, it's a year of rebuild. So, it's how do we heal? How do we move through this in hospitality? Hospitality and retail in particular hit very, very heavily. And as the world recalibrates, and I like to say water always finds its level. So there'll be this equilibrium that'll come out of it, but we're uncertain on what that's going to look like. 2022, thinking a bit further forward, I think anyone that survived that far, especially in this space, they're going to be battle hardened. They're going to be resilient. And they have to be sharp operators, but a lot more cautious on where they're going to invest their money. And, in a design realm, we're always trying to think that next, the next phase forward, because a lot of your projects are going for many years. Overseas travel, well, hopefully that's going to come back on in some sort of scale, especially where it's perceived safe to visit. Friends that I'm speaking to and other work colleagues, they've just said, look, I'm not doing any European travel for the next 18 to 24 months. They're just like, it's just done. I don't think they'll be set for it. In Australia, we're in a blessed circumstance that if you can potentially isolate, we might do okay. We might get through it, but still early to call. We know that in Australia, the redirection of holiday spending has kept our food and beverage operators alive. But with the intensity of the second waves rolling through Europe, US, and the UK, it's going to be a longer period of time before customers are confident to get out and travel, even domestically. CBD operations, big change there. Customer spending's moved away from CBD, this in Australia, into the outer lying areas. So if I can have an inner city experience as a customer without the risk of traveling, then I'm happy to do so. In the CBD equation, I think grab and go is going to be more prolific. So as we go back into that office shared space and looking at, will I go into the CBD for 1 or 2 days instead of the 5? What am I buying in there? What do I want? What can I hit my app and have delivered to my desk? Leonard talked about the 30-minute barrier, and that's going to be really applicable in that environment. In terms of delivery, we know that Uber, Menulog, and these businesses have done very well clipping the ticket on the way through, and opened up a lot more in terms of opportunities for food that can come out to consumers. Some outlets have experienced over 200% growth in delivery sales. And in order to sustain the deliveries, it's, well, what does it look like moving forward? And the thought I had around that from a design point of view is how is your design work going to impact and influence the delivery side of things? Is there a contactless window for the delivery drivers to pick up and roll through? Is there a well-oiled takeaway outlet that the customer just go through, pick up, and boom, they're gone, they're moving? Having a smaller footprint there, bums on seats, that's what it's going to be there. Information-wise, running through a third-party operator like an Uber or a Deliveroo or Menulog, well, the hard thing is they have all your data. So from a customer point of view, they want to really try and bring as much data in-house as they can to keep their customer connected and keep them loyal. Because if you've got a database as an operator, thinking the tech side of things, well, then you can be upselling. You can be selling virtual masterclasses. You can be selling cookbooks going into homes. What else can you be retailing or selling as a basket of goods through to the operator? Is it the wine? Is it the coffee you serve in the restaurant? There's other ways to increase that revenue stream. In a dinner box equation, there's been a great case example called Provador here in Melbourne. Provador by a chef named Shane Delia. It's a box of goods that is effectively like buying a restaurant's mise en place. So quality chef prepared, but you finish it all at home. There's videos to go along with from the particular chef saying, like, this is how you finish off my signature 12-hour slow cooked Middle Eastern lamb with my Ras al Hulnut, and it's all packaged for you. So it's delivery 2.0. Now, really great success rate with this one. They're on track to turn $100 million Australian for the first year of operation. And they're only in Victoria, only in Melbourne, right? So this scale is very, very impressive. It's like a virtual marketplace. There's opportunity for that. And the top end restaurants are seeing this. They're going, like, people are happy to pay for an experience they can then engage with and finish at home, but really top quality food. I know in Daniel Hum over in New York, same sort of thing, quality mise en place delivered to home. So this is going to continue, and the business that are engaged with this Provador are seeing it as a how do I retain that revenue stream without letting it erode. All right. So if I can get my customers back in house and maintain this, is there an option? From a design point of view, does that mean a different prep area that's a bit more streamlined for packaging, organization, have a small production line in the back of the kitchen? Maybe. Internal capacity for restaurants going to be reduced. That's the common thread is. But the operators that I'm speaking to are saying people are more respectful with having a booking coming in. It's more intimate because there's less bodies in. There's more loyalty because they can book in one place and can't turn up without a booking. So there's no bar hopping going on. It's turning up and maximizing the dollars on that seat, which is more control for the operator. More control in labor modeling, increased spend per head. The question is, how can operators maintain that revenue still turning over the seats? So there's a bit more control coming back to our food and beverage operators, which is not a bad thing. Future of food and beverage in shopping centers. Well, food courts, cafes, restaurants, very different now. Okay. And that's going to be, I believe, that's going to be a design-led initiative, right? How are we thinking that one through? How can we keep, maintain a positive customer experience with minimal contact points, right? Keeping the customers flowing through a clean, green, sanitized environment. The indoor and outdoor areas, I mean, the great thing about indoor, especially where there's plant life, it's more controlled, right? How do we keep that flow going through a shopping center? Because customers are still happy to go out and spend, especially if they're not going overseas, they're spending it domestically, and we need to capitalize on that. So as an industry of creatives, what I'm seeing, the tight-knit hospitality group, it's proven to be really supportive of one another. All right, like the lunch and learn that Joe mentioned, you know, as Remco was saying, keeping connected and having those conversations really important. So it's sprouting some innovative thinking, definite creativity, because we're all creatives. We're all creatives. So these are just a few things from my point of view on how the customer habits can be changing, their expectations and things that might influence. So a couple of questions that I'm just going to throw back over to you is, how do you think it's going to change for your business in the next 2 to 3 years? All right, it's the crystal ball, but if there was a time for dreaming, this is the time for dreaming. All right, letting go of the structure and just sitting back and just thinking about it. How are you enhancing your client interaction in the current moment? There's a little beautiful little surprise and delight thing that can go along. Like I picked up a new client recently. I sent him a lemon meringue pie for his family. Turned up on his doorstep unexpectedly. His wife was over the moon. Happy wife, happy life. He was doing really well. Great. It was a small investment, but it was significant. And little things like that can be really good. Remco loves, I can see him smiling. He's thinking about it.
Yeah.
Or he's thinking about lemon meringue pie first thing in the morning, breakfast food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what expertise and knowledge are you drawing on as an industry to stay in the forefront of your field? And it's forums like this and this conversation that is very, very powerful for all of us moving forward in the next 3 to 5 years. Asking the right questions, being respectful, listening to each other. So we know the expertise is here in the room, all right? You've got support all around you, and that's why you're a member in this organization. So we're all experiencing this event in different ways at different times, but it's the same circumstance, and we're hearing a very similar thread from a few different environments, some better, some worse, but there's learnings all around it. So for me, at the end of the day, it all comes back to hospitality. And I love these words: friendly, generous, entertaining. To me, it absolutely screams volumes all about connection. Connection with clients, connection with customers, connection with each other as humans. So thanks for being generous with your time today.
Before I sort of wrap up, I was just wondering if anybody else wants to share something before I sort of wrap up. Anybody else? Remco, Joe, anyone wants to? Yeah, Remco.
Just want to say that I hated to get up in the morning very early, but I loved it this morning.
Good on
There
you.
you go. Thank you so
Great
much.
start to the day, Remco. Great
Yeah,
start
great.
to the day.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the running and appreciating the local neighborhood. You definitely see
Yeah.
things you haven't seen before.
Yes, thank you.
So I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining in. And, you know, I just love, as I said at the beginning of the thing, what can we take away? And each one of you, I'm sure you'll have your own thing that you take away. But the 3 things that, you know, come to my mind, and the 3 big things that I got from, you know, from everyone that shared this afternoon was, or this morning, this night, for different people around the world, was the first one was what Remco shared, that, you know, each morning you choose your attitude. You can wake up in the morning and you choose your attitude. And you know, in our business now, we also do interior design. And I remember someone walking in, telling me a few years ago, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you could choose what you're going to wear. You know, am I going to wear this bright color shirt? Is this, you know, this self-print or whatever else it is? And you see how you feel and how you want to feel, that you sort of, you know, express yourself, and that's the way you dress. And so, like, you're choosing attitude, you choose your clothing, and that's what you set your agenda for the day. In fact, I just remember even this morning, you know, my wife said, "Oh, this shirt." I said, "Oh, is something happening today? Why this shirt? You know, I don't wear it to work normally, but I just thought for something like this, something light and casual." And so that was one thing. The second thing was about what Joe shared about, the food first and the human experience first, you know what I mean? And as you shared in the chat over there, without the food, without the human experience, we have no clients. And with no clients, we have no business. So it really comes back to that the food, it's the experience. Even when we're designing stuff, at the end of the day, what are we designing for? Who are we designing for? The whole thing is about the human experience. We want the clients to come into the restaurant and the kitchen to be so well designed that the food comes out on time. The service staff feel happy to take that good food out to the table and serve good food with a smile and a happy disposition and have that good experience. And the last thing was, what you touched on, Glenn, and with respect to, you talk about all the different facets of the businesses and how they move forward with cleaning and sanitizing and all of those things and about the flow. But I think one thing that will cut across our business and all businesses is data. You see Apple and Google, everybody collecting data. It's all about, the intelligence of collecting data and using that data to then, serve our clients. And this is about good, clever restaurateurs. In fact, one of our clients has developed this app where he runs a nightclub. So he gives the kids, and they all wear a wristband and they go in there. And so every time they swipe, have a drink, whatever else it is, he knows at the end of the weekend, okay, during this time and this time, this is what is my biggest seller. And, so it's all about collecting the data and about understanding the thing. And I think that is, from all those different things, I've had to pick one thing moving forward, cutting across our industry and others as well. And unfortunately, there are people, the not so good ones in the world that are using it for not good reasons. But I think our good operators that we FCSI consultants work with have that focus, and with our own thing, with our own business, and saying, I think data is going to be critical moving forward. So thank you, guys. I can see that you're not just only laughing at what I'm saying. There's probably some good banter happening over there. And I'll just wrap up. And I just want to say on behalf of FCSI board, thank you to all you guys around the world for tuning in. I hope you got something out of it. And just to let you know, we're going to have this as a 4-part series. So in FCSI, we share, we support, and we inspire. So today was about sharing, okay? So the next quarter, we're going to have about support. How are we going to support each other, and what do we do by supporting? And the last one's inspire. Not the last one. The third will be inspire, and the last one will be putting it all together. And I might allow our chair of the Worldwide Board to say a few words, because he's come up on the screen now. Thank you, Bill.
No, I just say in conclusion, I just want to say thank you to all of you. There was a time when we all of the divisions, we wanted to get more activity going. And one of the things through this this awful time, this pandemic time, has been a resurgence of each of the divisions, and especially the Asia Pacific division, of getting together, of sharing, as Mario said, of supporting one another, and of growing the society as one big family. And you guys have done a great job. We recognize that, as all the divisions have, Remco's division, the TAD division, but a special thank you and shout out to all of the members of APD. We appreciate all you've done. We look forward to an ever flourishing future, and our thanks from the Worldwide Board. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Agreed.